All right, Gamecock fans, it's time to rock out with our cocks out again today. Today will not be a bitch session. It's not going to talk about the game from Saturday. Uh, Not going to talk about hate week in Clemson. Not today. You know why? We're going to talk about the offensive coordinator search because that is the question right now for South Carolina Gamecocks. We know for sure we're going to play Clemson on Saturday. We know for sure both teams haven't been that great this year. But we will break down that game and we will talk about it later in the week. But first, before we get into that, just in case Rooster doesn't get another video out, I want to wish all of you guys a happy Thanksgiving. I don't know what my schedule is a little busier because it's a short week, but I just want to tell everybody I hope they have a very happy and safe Thanksgiving just in case I don't get to put another video out until after Thanksgiving. But we want to talk about the offensive coordinators. A lot of people are asking a lot of questions. There's a lot of names going around. There's a lot of situations that just aren't settled, right? Here's the thing. Come Sunday, maybe even Saturday, Sunday, Monday of next week, there will probably be a lot of changes. We're going to say bowl teams, there'll be changes to bowl teams. What there won't be is probably many changes to playoff teams. Unless someone, offensive coordinator or head coach, I just don't see, everybody's on this Kiffin thing. I cannot see him walking away from Ole Miss going to the playoffs. I can't foresee that happening. Even though people think it's going to happen. I don't know. Lane Kiffin to the New York Giants. He's going to go back and him and Jackson Dart are going to run the New York Giants over the next few years. That's my theory anyway. Hey, guess what? He wouldn't have to make a decision on an NFL head coaching job until after the playoffs. What y'all think? Anyway, just something to throw out there. It's probably all bullshit anyway. We'll see. I think people are tired of hearing about the Kiffin ordeal. So let's start with our homegrown man, Mike Fury. Does Mike Fury get a legit shot at offensive coordinator? There's been so many different ideas. Some people say absolutely, hell no, no way. Beamer cannot promote from within. I lean that way too. But let's put it this way. This isn't Mike Fury's fault. This is a Shane Beamer's fault for not getting rid of Mike Shula earlier in the season and giving Mike Fury a little more time to show the South Carolina fans what he could do calling plays. So I think it's just a matter of the resume just being too short right now when it comes to Mike Fury. Now, I'll have some ideas down the road, so y'all hang with me on the Mike Fury thing. I'm not throwing Mike away yet because we don't know what's going to happen in the next few weeks after the season's over with. You know, there's other rumors floating around. Ricky Raines, the head coach at ODU, being offered offensive coordinator for James Franklin at Virginia Tech. Now, ODU's really been playing fairly well, scoring some points. Do you want to move up and be an offensive coordinator and quit head coaching? That would be a very tough decision for me, to go work for somebody else when you work for yourself. It's kind of a tough decision right there. We don't know what kind of money would be offered in that. What kind of if say the Franklin experiment doesn't work at Virginia Tech? Well, this guy's already got a future going as a head coach. So like I said, there's so many rumors. There's going to be so many more, so many false and fake BS that floats around social media and in media anymore that it's almost just like stupid, ridiculous to even talk about. Another name that'll be out there that may move, say like rumors are Florida. Maybe they're interviewing, and you know they're not putting all their eggs in the basket with Lane Kiffin. There's been rumor about Summerall. Who else maybe they've interviewed that they haven't talked about, that people don't know about. Things happen behind closed doors that we don't all have information on. We're not always privy. And the more and more leaks has come out of these schools, I think the more and more they've cracked down on who is in the know when it comes to these situations. But say that happens and Summerall leaves, and you got an opening at Tulane, and maybe you have like a Ricky Raines or a Bob Chesney from JMU look at going to Tulane. Maybe Bob Chesney gets an offer somewhere else when people start moving around. You don't know about these guys because you don't have the whole puzzle to kind of lay out and try to figure out how to put it together just yet. There's a lot of unknown questions. John David Baker at ECU is another name that's come up. Kind of came through the Lane Kiffin tree, was about 3 years at Ole Miss. Offensive coordinator at ECU, has had some very, very good offensive football games this year. And you look at the level of competition that he's calling against. Hey, the Lane Kiffin offense is great. But was he a guy that worked for the guy? Or will his offense, with the talent of a South Carolina, I think the big question is who stays for South Carolina? Do you keep Lenore Sellers? Can you hold this wide receiver core together? Can you go out? And I think a very important position that a lot of people don't talk about that South Carolina really needs is a center that has a voice and can play football and not make mistakes. Because you need that voice and that leadership on that offensive line. The question is South Carolina hire offensive coordinator, O-line coach? Does Sean Elliott move back to tight ends? Does Sean Elliott stay at offensive line? Does the new offensive coordinator want to change the staff? Either way, you're going to have to look for somebody. If you keep Furry as your offensive coordinator, you got to find a wide receiver coach. So no matter what you do, there's going to be positions to fill and decisions that need to be made. Cade Bell, another guy at Pittsburgh. What do we know about Pittsburgh's offense? It's off and on. Does Pittsburgh have the talent of a South Carolina? If you looked at blue chip ratios and stuff, probably not. But the kids play hard. They're well coached. Narduzzi's been a good coach. They lose some games that make you scratch your head. But they win games that make you scratch your head sometimes. It's like they're a day and night kind of football team. Hard to peg week to week. Jason Beck from Utah has been another guy that's been brought up. Now I know Rooster's not going through all the stats. Anybody wants to look the stats up, you can. But there's so many unknowns right now. It's almost like if you want to go through the guys that have committed, say recruits that commit, and you want to break down all their stats and what they've done, but they haven't signed on the dotted line yet. So are you just wasting your time by doing that? More than likely, until they're officially signed on the line and part of the team, they're not part of the team. None of these guys are part of South Carolina right now. So say Jason Beck at Utah. Utah, well, Big 12. A lot of people's going to question that. No matter who or where this kind of goes, you're going to have some fans that love the decision. You're going to have some fans that hate it. It's a teeter-totter for Shane Beamer no matter which way he walks on this thing. If he keeps Fury, people are going to hate it. If he moves on, no matter who he picks out of a list of names, there's going to be some people that hate it. I wouldn't want to make the decision personally myself, except when you see what happens if some things happen and some moves are made, there's probably going to be some people that come off of this list. So it cuts down the list. Now, I added in, there's 7 people on my list. Shane Beamer may have a longer list, a shorter list. Some of these names may not even be on his list. Some of these guys may have already been contacted and told us no. We don't know. But Utah, I think they run a good offense. Is it something that would work in the SEC? Utah's one of the more physical teams, so they like to use physicality. They like to run the football. Will his offense work? Is he offered another job? That's the thing. We don't know what's going to happen. We'll learn more about probably who's going to be available over the next month of December. I know Beamer wants to hire quickly, but if he hires quickly and then someone comes in and offers the same guy a head coaching job, or a bigger team comes in and offers the guy more money, do we hang on to him? That's been the history of Shane Beamer. Like James Coley did it. Bobo, all these guys that just kind of bounced out on him after having a cup of coffee and telling him they were going to be here, and then they left. Would any of these guys happen? Do you go with one of the old dogs that maybe a lot of teams won't because of their age, like a Bobby Petrino? Bobby Petrino's putting up numbers, and he's putting up numbers against SEC defenses. We did a video on Bobby Petrino. If you guys want to go back and check that out, you can go back and check that out. Chip Kelly just got fired from the Raiders. Would he be a guy you looked at? Well, you say, well, God, he went to the NFL. He didn't really make it a half a year. That's the NFL, brother. That's the chance you take when you go up there. But say you could get the Bobby Petrino that was at Ohio State. Now, I know. People are going to say South Carolina doesn't have the talent that Ohio State had last year at wide receiver, running back, and that kind of stuff. But can you scheme up what we do have to be very competitive in the SEC? When you look at the upcoming schedule, that's the biggest thing. Hell, we don't even really know if our coaching staff is going to stay together at the end of the year. Say somebody wants to come hire Clayton White and make him a head coach. There's rumors that Torian Gray, James Franklin, is trying to get him to interview to go to Virginia Tech. Does Torian Gray wanted to go to Virginia Tech? He falls back to the ACC, but it is his alma mater. Would that be something he wanted to do? I mean, he's been at South Carolina so long. I mean, South Carolina may be his home and where he wants to be. I mean, Torian Gray's originally from Florida, if you really want to know where home is for him. But then, there's a lot of people talking about, I think we can mark Gus Malzahn off, right? I think since we now know that Norvell's staying at Florida State, pretty sure Malzahn, who has the best offense in the ACC right now, putting up the most yards, most points in the ACC, is not going to be one of the changes that I think you will make if you're Mike Norvell. So I just think Gus stays where Gus is at. I think his name's off the list unless somebody comes along and Gus Malzahn decides to go be a head coach at one of these smaller schools. Maybe he pulls a Dan Mullen and Dan Mullen goes out to UNLV. Maybe Gus Malzahn goes out. I don't think Gus wants to be he left a head coaching job, at Central Florida to be an offensive coordinator. Make a couple $1 million a year. You get to call plays, do a little bit of recruiting, but all the, bullshit, the circus that goes around along with being a head coach, he doesn't have to do. But smaller schools don't have the bigger circus either. So maybe that's a situation. You just never know what is offered to these guys. You don't know what they're thinking. You don't know what's, you almost sit down and the only thing you could do is put yourself in their shoes or try to put yourself in a Shane Beamer's shoes. Now, this is all predicated in thinking. And I think most people now kind of come around that Shane Beamer's probably still going to be at South Carolina next year. Even those of us that question it. Those of us that don't think Beamer's the right guy. I think it's just the only way Beamer's, I truly think, is getting fired is if Clemson just rolls into South Carolina and absolutely knocks our dick in the dirt. If we get our cocks knocked in the dirt at Williams-Brice Stadium by a bad Clemson team, maybe that's the straw that breaks the camel's back. But for everyone that talked about this year is not the best year to look for a head coach, we just saw Cal fired their head coach. There will be more. And that's why I say it's hard to really sit down and say right now who's really candidates, who's not candidates, who's going to move where, who's going to get offered jobs. When we sit back and we look as a South Carolina fan, we can't look at every one of these guys and say, hey, all these guys are available to South Carolina, because that may not be the truth. Names just gotten dropped off the list, like a Kendall Browse. Well, according to Beamer, Jeremiah Donati and the assistant AD or whatever is supposed to be helping with the search and having conversations. Kendall Browse was there with Jeremiah Donati at TCU. Would Sam Pittman get a call for offensive line coach? Who knows what Sam Pittman wants to do right now? He's probably kicked back drinking a cold beer. Who knows what that man wants to do in the future? We don't know what these guys think. All we can do is sit back. And if I were this guy, this is who I would look at. And you can't. Not every guy that a South Carolina fan wants is going to be available to South Carolina. That's one place we have to probably put a little bit of ego and arrogance in check. Because there will be guys that get opportunities other places. There will be guys that are familiar with an area that'll get an opportunity. Maybe it's their recruiting area, it's their home area. You just don't know. And there's still way too many questions to be answered to know how this ends up. A lot of people think it's going to be Mike Fury because maybe Beamer don't make it another year. If I'm Beamer, the first thing I'm doing is going to try to find the very best guy that I can hire, because I don't want a 1-year head coaching job knowing I'm on the hot seat and I can be fired. I'm going to try to find the best guy that can come in and help me keep my job long term. Now, a lot of people get on me. They don't want the older OCs. Say the opportunity came along that you brought in a guy like a Chip Kelly or a Bobby Petrino, and you put Mike Fury with that guy. So Mike's learning, on-the-job learning, still working with his wide receivers, but also learning to be an SEC caliber, higher caliber offensive coordinator from older guys that can teach him things and show him things and help him. I don't want to throw Mike Fury away. I want him to stay on the team. Awesome dude. Now, if something happens to Beamer, we know the whole staff's going to change. There's no doubt about that. You don't know. Another coach could want to hang on to Mike Fury. Mike Fury might want to move on. Don't know what these guys think. But what we can say is a decision has to be made. It's a very important decision. We got to wait on this game to get over with. We got to wait on a lot of rivalry games to get over with this week and start seeing the coaching shuffle. Who's going to get fired? Who's going to stay? I think you're going to learn pretty quick, because quick turnaround in the transfer portal in January. Quick turnaround on your recruiting and trying to keep your players and get them signed. You don't have a lot of time. So decisions will have to be made quick. And we'll learn a hell of a lot more, I think, by Sunday, Monday of next week. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have some ideas, some more names, some more people you think would be great at the job or even want the job, put it out there. Put it out there who it is. I'll do some research into the guys myself, because I'm curious what a lot of you guys think when it comes to who would be available. But anyway, appreciate all you guys. Please like, subscribe, share the channel out. I think we're about 30, a little less than 40 subscribers from getting to that 1,000. So I want to tell all you guys, thank you again for supporting the channel and helping old Rooster Man out. And we'll holler at you later. Peace.